Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each week we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedict and I'm feeling excited.
I'm Benedicte. Today is January 4th. This episode is number 121 and I am also feeling excited.
Woo!
Woo! New Year!
Realized.
It's a new year!
Yeah. Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
I just realized while you were reading the intro that now that Brian is taking a longer break, it's literally just the Benedict show.
The Benedict show. Maybe I should just go all in on the Queen Ray. So luckily, our voices are pretty different, though, so it's not like I think people can understand who's who in this show.
Hopefully. Yeah. So, anyways, I mean that's just a side note.
That's just a side note.
Yeah. How has your holiday break been?
I had an amazing Christmas holiday. Like this Christmas holiday, it was just awesome. Everything worked out. Like I was relaxed. I got like the important stuff done. We had a great Christmas Eve. And then my aunt had rented a cabin in the Norwegian mountains that we were invited to join. So me and my mom and Lillian went up there while Ola stayed at home for some like downtime on his own and watching the cat. But that's his idea of a perfect vacation. So we all got what we needed and wanted. And the snow wasn't like the skiing wasn't that good. So I kind of YOLO'd this thing. I was, like I do. I was Googling the children's slopes in Hemsedal because I thought maybe Lillian could do a little bit of skiing. And there was an ad for like toboggan, I think it's called in English, where you like go on a sledge or like a toboggan. It's called like toboggan in American or something. I don't know. Anyway, you get to go all the way at the top of the mountain and then you like go all the way down in the kind of ski slopes, but on a sledge is it called a sledge or a toboggan? Whatever it's called. Where you're not on skis, you're just on your bum on a thing. So we all went, all three of us, and it was just like so much fun. I was, me and mom were like, yeah, we'll do this for Lillian. It's, it's probably, it's nice to just get out since we didn't get to do that much skiing. But we were just like on the way down, my mom was just like, she was smiling, and then we lost her, but that was fine. Like she went her own route. Everybody got a little scared, as I've shared, she's got Alzheimer, but she was just like on cloud 9 when we all came down. And Lillian loved it, and I was like, this was actually fun. This wasn't just like, oh, it's fun to do with your kid, but it was just like so much fun. And then we had a great New Year's Eve. So perfect. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. What did you do for New Year's? New Year's Eve? We
just went to some neighbors. And then we went up on my neighbor's mom's roof terrace and looked out over Oslo. We were back in Oslo then. Nice. And another, like, it was cloudy all day. And when they were doing some like test fireworks, or like some people do them at 6 o'clock, like in the evening instead of at midnight, I was up at the... I was close by. I couldn't see anything. And then I think around 11 o'clock it cleared. So we had told the kids, like, We're not going to see any fireworks, like, but we're going to go up just in case. And we came up and we could see all of Oslo and we saw all the fireworks. And again, perfect. Like this Christmas vacation, they haven't all been like this the last years, but this Christmas vacation, awesome.
Very cool.
Yes.
And I'm happy for you. That sounds great.
Yeah, and then just to like wrap that up, I woke up on like the first day of the new year and I was like, yes! And I scheduled 5 live screencasts and I was just like, yes, let's do this. And I don't think I've ever woken up at like 7 o'clock in the morning on January 1st and been like, yes, let's go. So I take that as a sign that I'm onto something good or something that I can sustain for the long run. Anyway.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So,
what else has been going on with you?
Oh, we're just gonna keep on doing me. We're not talking about your Christmas.
We can also talk about my Christmas first. I don't mind.
How was your Christmas?
My Christmas was nice. Like Christmas itself was nice. We went to see my fiance's parents. We were planning to see them last year, but pandemic and all of that kind of prevented it. So this time we went there to the Black Forest, visited them, visited her grandpa who turned 100 this year, which just still blows my mind every single time I think about it.
That's insane. Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, and like had a nice time overall there. Unfortunately, they also helped, like over Christmas break, there was a lot of weird family stuff happening as well. So in the end, it wasn't as relaxing as I hoped it to be. And overall, I don't know what it is. Like I tried my best this year to like take vitamin D, go outside for a walk. I got my my key light, it's the streaming key light, turned on all day just to get enough light in my face. But I still, for some reason, I feel like this year it was out of my control, so kind of feel shitty now that the year is starting again.
Well, I think like especially like family holidays can be really. We've had some stressful family holidays over the last years because with like what people expect, especially different life circumstances and stuff like that. People expect a lot of things, but I think we've taken some years, but we kind of landed our boundaries, and they really worked this year, and everyone was happier for it instead of kind of, forcing Ula to go to the mountains, for instance, or like, or like doing, like we just didn't do gifts for like most people. and and we started last year and we told everyone, we're just doing gifts for the kids. So we did a lot of like, we put in place a lot of those boundaries, and it just like, it was so nice to see them like working and just having such a like good and relaxing time. So keep at it.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. I mean, it's not too bad. Anyways, that's basically my Christmas break. I was planning to actually do the year compass in between like Christmas and New Year's Eve, something around that, but then just felt too wasted. didn't do any of it until earlier today. So
because that's something you and Brian have
about that later on.
Yeah, you and Brian have done that before, like this year compass, like you look through the year. I also looked a little bit on that it's like what would you call it? A framework for like reviewing your year. I guess it's a framework. And Brian has been doing this for, I don't know, 10 years or so. Oh, wow.
Quite a long time.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the third year. Mm-hmm. And it's getting a little bit easier because I know what to do and stuff like that. And it's also interesting to take last year's booklet and look into it, what I had planned for this year and how did it turn out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I do, because I've done this Plan A conference, it's called, here in Norway. It used to be in person for like small business owners, and now it's digital. So I have that same kind of thing for where I have like several years of these little plans in my drawer, and I often go and look at them, and it rarely goes according to plan. But I also see things coming back. I think maybe like 3 years ago, like I wrote something about, doing videos or teaching or something like that. But I thought maybe not code. Like I was too scared to teach coding. Yeah. But then like the same idea came back just in a different form. So it seems like I'm rehashing the same, like, I'm refining at least. Yeah. It's not like I'm, totally new thing, even though I do those as well. I have shiny object syndrome. Yes, but still, it's nice to see that there are some commonalities, throughout the years that are coming back and maybe can finally come into like proper fruitation. Well, see, I haven't spoken much English over the holidays.
Yep, me neither.
Yep. But you asked me earlier, so what else have I done? So right before, I had to go back to our last episode because it's been 3 weeks and it feels like forever. And I remember, most of that has been the holidays, but I remember that I was prepping for my talk on encryption and privacy in web apps that I created a little Gatsby demo for, where I encrypt notes and put them into a public GitHub repository as like the data storage, which is kind of fun. And the talk really went well. It worked with, like, I had an introduction, I did some talking around the subject, and then I coded for about 20 minutes, I would say. And then I did another kind of wrap up around how encryption isn't everything when it comes to privacy. And I felt like that was a really good structure, because coding for an hour, it's a little intense and depends a little bit on. And when I do the streams, it's like, it's okay if like some streams are, not as on point as other Thursday streams. I mean, we drink and we have fun, but for talks, it's, you need to know that you can do them and do them properly, even when you're not feeling your best. So I think that was a really good structure for me, about 20 minutes of code. So I felt really good coming out of that talk, which is weird for me, because I often feel like the talks went really bad, and then I look at them like 6 months later, I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. But like coming out of it, I'm like, this is awful. But this one, I felt good coming out of it, and I got some really good feedback, which is also nice when people reach out to you on LinkedIn to let you know that it was a good talk. That makes me happy, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then tomorrow I'm doing React Roundup podcast. I should probably listen to some episodes before going on tomorrow. And there's been like no contact, so I'm a little like unsure if it's still on. I'll show up for the allotted time. I can do things, fairly on the spur of the moment. So we'll see if maybe they'll, reply tonight or whatever, but we'll see. So that is interesting. That's the only podcast I have booked. Like, my plan is to try to become a guest at more of these like React, JavaScript, Jamstack podcasts.
Yeah.
So dear listener, tweet me your best suggestions, because I have fallen a little out of the tech podcast world. And then today, as I said, I woke up first day of the new year, scheduled 5 streams, and those are new streams because I'm testing something new, but within the concept. Like, I'm not going crazy here like I usually do. So I'm testing out doing live Gatsby screencasts on Tuesdays at 2:00 Central European time. So I did it today on how to include third-party scripts in the Gatsby project and the 3 ways you can do that. And I think it went really well for like the first time around. I have some notes that I can improve on, like the intro and outro need to be a little like more solid. I think that's important because it's still live, so it's not going to be edited. It's not going to be as tight as a edited screencast. But I think if you listen to it in like 1.5 speed, it feels really like, it feels snappy. So I think maybe I'm going to like introduce that concept to people in the intro. Like, if you're not watching this live, maybe go and do 1.5 speed, because there's no snappy editing in this video. But we'll
Makes
see how
sense,
that, we'll see how that goes. Like, hopefully that will be stuff that people Google or like search for in YouTube. Like, it's more catered towards kind of that type of discovery. And so this was third-party scripts, and then I'll go through all the rendering models. We're gonna do statically generated, server-side rendered, client-side rendered, deferred static generation over the next weeks, and hopefully keep them to like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So I'm excited to see where that takes me. Yeah. And then, we've done conference buddy streams. You were a guest for data model. I think that was before the last episode. And that has been really nice for me because Miriam does all the work. I just show up and answer her questions. And we even did one the night before New Year's Eve, which was really nice, which was more of a code heavy. We were like pair programming, and Ulla and I were like fighting over the code. But she got a lot further, and we got a lot of like the Gatsby stuff down, because there's some things that if you know React and you're getting into Gatsby, like often you do them in a way that is not where you're not getting any of the benefits from Gatsby. You're kind of just like forcing you know, the React single page application model onto Gatsby and then you're not getting any other benefits. So we sourced the data and then got the data so that we could do statically generated pages. So that was a lot of fun. And kind of, I came down from the mountain like 2 hours before because we were supposed to have like 5 hours at home, but it rained. And the rain, we call it like undercooled rain or something in our region, where it freezes as soon as it hits the ground or the car. So we were like it was like ice skating with a car down the mountains. So we went slow.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I mean,
it could possibly go wrong?
It was so like. It was kind of intense, actually. Like half the way, it was like that. And we drove really, really slowly. And I was really happy we had borrowed this like super good car seat for Lillian because I was like, this is the only time I've been in a car where I'm like, you know, it could like something could happen. And as long as she's in a really good car seat, that's not, I mean, things can happen even then, but like then you're at least as protected as you can be. So, but then it's good. Like, you know, being senior feels good because then you can jump into a stream like and without preparing and still help Miriam get her code done, which is like it's a good experience to have now, to be at that place. Yeah, that's
very cool. Nice.
Yeah, I guess that was
I enjoyed
up to me. Yeah,
I enjoyed the live stream quite a bit. I mean, time flew past basically while doing this, and I feel like we could have gone on for another hour or so easily, but at some point it's better to wrap up, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I've learned with live streams. You really want to keep on going, but it just becomes muddly. Like things just go downhill from like an hour into a stream. It just goes downhill, I've realized. And you can do like an hour and a half to like wrap up. But after that, even though everybody is like super engaged, you just notice after the fact, you're like, oh, at some point we were just going in circles or
the mistakes are getting stupider by the minutes.
Exactly. So, but we're gonna have you back this season or this spring at some point. This winter at some point.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I need to plan the next pirate streams. So the idea was that the conference buddy would wrap up next week, and then we'll go back to kind of our regular Gatsby deep dives with Queen Ray and then Adam of Pirates, with Paul again. And we need to kind of plan those. But I think we're going to have Miriam pop on maybe every 4th or 5th to kind of show our progress. And then whenever she's done and ready to launch, we'll do like a launch stream with Miriam and like launch on the stream. So there will be space. There will be space there for you at several points during this. If you want to be back.
Don't have to plan me into this. I mean, I'm happy to help, but I don't feel obliged to invite me for every other
but it was
episode.
So good. You were so good. Like, you could explain data models. Like, I was like, wow, you were so good at explaining these things in like a very straightforward way. So I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. So I'm selfish. I want you back on to teach me more stuff.
Thanks. Well, then happy to join, of course.
Yeah. So what have you been up to? I saw a tweet. You've hired somebody.
Yes, it finally happened. I mean, this took... Well, did it take longer than expected? I'm not entirely sure. I didn't expect this to be easy. But I think when we did the last episode last year, I think it was December 16th, 14th, something like that. We're still in the process of interviewing people and doing test assignments. And in the end, we narrowed it down to 2 candidates that we were thinking about hiring. They were both a good fit, like they had the right skill set, the right mindset. And in the end, the difference was basically, availability, because one of them just was able to join part-time, at least for a foreseeable future, and the other one was available full-time. And their salary expectations were within our budget, so it was easy to give them the salary the highest, like they gave a range, or he gave a range, and we could easily give him the top end of his range, so that felt good. And then I think he had a competing offer as well, but ultimately decided to join us.
Woohoo!
So that's awesome. I'm super happy with it.
But this is a senior person, or is this a
yeah,
senior?
this is a senior developer. He's been working with Ember.js for, I'm not entirely sure how long, but for the last couple of years. As a consultant, I think all of his last projects over the last couple of years have been Ember.js and Elixir in the backend. And it's a great fit. I mean, he knows his stuff. And we hired him, I think, the day before Christmas, 2 days before Christmas, something like that. And I was leaving for my Christmas break right after it. So he got onboarded all by himself, basically. I invited him to the code base and gave him a rough idea how things play together. But other than that, he entirely got into it himself. He started adding more acceptance tests to the application, because like it's not well tested right now. At least the front end isn't well tested for the most part. And he's been doing that for the last week. Didn't have any questions, or if he had, he figured them out himself. And yeah, it's just up and running. He's already contributing code. Nothing is deployed yet, but I mean, that's not that big of a deal. But what's most exciting for me is stuff's happening while I'm on vacation, and looking at the code, I'm learning stuff. Like he knows stuff that I didn't know was possible, or how to do stuff that I didn't know how to do it. And that honestly was my secret wish about hiring someone, that it's someone I can learn stuff from, and that we're at least on a similar level, or it looks like in some parts he's definitely more skilled than I am and has more experience with stuff. And I hope he's excited about working with Userlist as well. I mean, it sounded like it. We see how it goes. But yeah, I'm just super excited to have someone working with me on this, on the code base for once. I mean, it's been a long time.
I mean,
I don't quite remember the last time I collaborated on code with someone. It's been years.
Yeah, consistently collaborating with people is also, but it seems like it's just, I was going to say something and then I forgot it. I was going to say,
sorry.
The feeling, no, I'm the one who always interrupts. But that feeling when stuff happens without you being there, it is the most amazing feeling, even if it's not code, because I haven't really had that experience with code yet, but just that feeling where like things are just done, and it's done like good enough that you don't have to like redo everything again, or like have to explain like how it should have been, done, and it ends up being more work. But just, as you said, you're on holiday and just seeing things just happen, it's such a great feeling. And I'm really happy that you found someone who complements your skills, so that you can be kind of, you're on the same level in different parts of the code base, kind of seniority wise. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Think about that, going into the new year with an employee.
Well, yeah, we had employees, a couple employees.
Developer employee then.
Yeah, developer employee. I mean, it's the first employee I'm closely collaborating with, so that's exciting. And yeah, I don't know, it's just, it gives peace of mind in a way that I didn't. I hoped for it, but didn't dare to wish for.
I mean, next time you go on vacation, you can actually leave your laptop at home, because then he will be up. He will be at that level.
I'm not entirely sure about that part. I mean, there's still the back end. He doesn't have any. Well, we see. I mean, in theory, he can probably pick that one up as well, but I don't want to overwhelm him with responsibilities.
Next Christmas vacation, you can leave your laptop. But
yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, we need goals. That's a good goal for 2022.
For sure, yeah. For sure. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure if we will make it this year, but it's definitely a goal to eventually get to a point where the team is big enough and skilled enough to do stuff without us being there. I think that's a nice thing to strive for. Mm-hmm. But yeah, other than that, on the hiring front, I think I mentioned that we had some problems with the first customer success manager that we hired. We ultimately decided to let them go and brought on someone else who had also applied and was basically on the short list. And to be honest, like when we decided between, basically we threw a coin more or less between those two candidates, and it looks like the coin cheated us and we picked the wrong one. But the other one was still available, and he joined us. Yes, I mean, saying he's more responsive than the other one would be kind of weird because the other one didn't respond at all. So it's great to have someone on the team who's motivated and participating. And I think on his first or even the second day, we got affected by the last AWS outage. Apparently there was a power failure in one of their data centers, and it unfortunately took down our database. So parts of the application were still up and running, but they couldn't connect to the database. So effectively everything was dead. And it was like, it might have been his first day with access to the customer support inbox, and he was right in there replying to customers complaining about they can't log in or that they're seeing problems, and he did a really good job with that. But yeah, the downside is we had an outage for like 2 hours or so where nothing worked at all. But the upside maybe is that because we're using so many managed services, I couldn't do anything anyways. So I was sitting in front of the computer trying to understand what was going on, but there wasn't the pressure of having to fix it because there was no way of fixing it myself anyways. So
I feel like these AWS outages, it's like people just like, okay, it's like a snow day for like SaaS people. It's just like, what, like we can't do anything about this situation. And luckily though, you had your customer support system on something that was not affected by the outage, because I think some people have been fortunate enough to have both their like status page and their application and their support being affected. So yeah, it's like a tech snow day.
Yeah, in a way. And I mean, when stuff like this happens, sometimes I'm wondering like, hey, maybe we should. I mean, we're using Heroku for like hosting, so they themselves then host on AWS, and it's basically a managed layer on top of it. And sure, stuff like that makes me wonder if like we should we move somewhere else? Should we like set up our own thing with like multiple availability zones and like protect against outages better? But in the end, I feel like that would just increase complexity so much that we'll probably fuck other stuff up and effectively not gain anything out of it. Sure, this way we couldn't do anything and basically had to watch them work. But I feel like if we had set up something else, I'd probably screw it up myself and then
have no one to blame
myself. Yeah, and have no one to blame or no one to rely on for fixing it.
I mean, even non-tech people in our circle has heard of the AWS outages. So even they would, if you sent them a support answer being like, well, the data servers in so-and-so are down, like, not everybody, of course, but a lot of the people that I know have like heard of them and would be like, oh, yeah, this is a thing that is happening to more than user list. It's not like specific to you, which helps a little bit because then they don't feel as kind of disappointed in your service, since this is something that is affecting more than one.
Yeah.
But on a broader scale, like, what are we doing to the internet? But that's a topic for another another podcast.
I hear you.
Oh,
but
any huge plans for
it.
2022 or any small plans for 2022?
Are we transitioning into talking about our year compass then?
Well, I was trying to
sure.
I was trying to make like a smooth segue to it.
And now I ruined it, right?
Yes.
I'm not entirely sure. I'm having a hard time coming up with concrete plans of like I absolutely wanted to do whatever, because whenever I do this, something happens and things change and shift under me, and I can't make it work anyways. But yeah, let me open up my year compass. And for those who don't know, like we mentioned earlier, the year compass is at, I think it's yearcompass.com. And it's basically a booklet that you print out, and it has a bunch of questions in them that first help you reflect on the past year and then help you make some plans for the new year. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, Brian has been doing this for quite a while, and he showed me it, and this is my third year now. So let me look at what I wrote for the plans.
Your plans.
So let me see. There's a section about dare to dream big. And one of the things I wrote down there, dreaming big, is I want to make Userless profitable this year. Like actually making a profit. At least that's my wish. I'm realistic enough to think that it's probably not going to happen, but any meaningful progress toward that goal is probably a win in my books. So
I think people are very different when it comes to goals, because some people would like to set like these like 10x goals or whatever, and then because then they can be happy reaching 3x, and and if they had just said 2x, they never would have, like if their goal was 2x or something, then they wouldn't have gotten to 3 because they didn't have a big enough goal. But me, I'm different. Like if the goals are too high, I'm just like, this is just like, why am I even putting this goal? Like this is just insanity. And then I just like put it in a drawer. So I think you have to kind of when you do these kind of exercises, you need to, and I guess you need to do them for some years or some kind of like goal setting to kind of understand what is actually beneficial for you in terms of goal setting, or
totally
or because a lot of the people that works for somebody else is just like, for me, I'm like, that's just, that's not going to motivate me at all.
I'm totally with you on that. Like if the goal is too unrealistic, I kind of try to ignore it. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like in a couple of years ago, I was really strict about actually setting, like that's the idea of setting measurable goals and stuff like that, and very concrete goals. I'm not entirely sure that part really worked for me, at least. I mean, for example, while I was consulting, I set myself a revenue goal that I wanted to have a certain level of revenue. And while it was true that I usually achieved that goal, it also, like I feel like I sacrificed a lot of other stuff for that goal to make that goal work. And I'm not entirely sure if that is necessarily a good thing. I mean, sure, you made that goal, you made the amount of money you wish to make, but did you enjoy the process? Maybe not that much. Did you take on a lot of jobs that you didn't quite like? Yeah, maybe. So I'm not entirely sure if it's worth it. So by now I'm more about setting themes or sorts, and that's why I'm thinking like just like getting closer towards being profitable with Userlist would be nice. Last year, I noticed after reviewing last year's year compass, one of my goals was getting Userlist to default alive. So it's basically, if we don't do anything, it's not going to die. Mm-hmm. And if you look at our bank statements and like accounting documents, if we just like stop doing everything right now, like fired everyone and reduced our salaries to bare minimum, I think it's kind of there. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, it would be paying us shitty salaries and it wouldn't die immediately. And not burn through all the savings. So that was nice. But if we could extend that goal or improve on that, and not have shitty salaries and still don't die.
But going for profitability
nice.
is I think that is that's a good goals and theme, because that means whenever you make a decision, you have to think about, do we want to be profitable, I can't say it, profitable, in short term, or do we want to like burn through more, investment cash and like see if we can get a bigger upside in 10 years. Like that is a strategic difference. So even though it's kind of a money goal, it's also a very kind of, what kind of company do we want to be? What kind of, strategic thoughts do we have about our company? So like working with that kind of theme of moving towards profitability it actually means more than just like, oh, X amount of money. Like there are a lot of things that goes with that, because you could be, any of the other tech startups and just like keep on burning cash until you crash in 10 years, which it seems like some of them, their plans
definitely
are.
do, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's, I think it's, it sounds like a good direction.
And I mean, one thing I should probably say about that, when I say profitable, I usually don't mean actually being profitable. I mean, but usually mean being break even.
Okay, so break even plus one.
Break even plus one. That's profitable.
That's profitable.
But it always sounds like when I say being profitable, like sometimes people are like, yeah, but then what do you do with all those profits? And like, do you want to like pay a lot of dividends and stuff like that? And I don't know. But that's not necessarily the goal for me. It's just like not losing money anymore. that or not losing that much money anymore. That would be the goal. Not necessarily huge profits. But yeah, that's one of my goals. What are what is one of yours? We can maybe take turns.
Well, so as you, like I've said goals before. I think the goal for 2021 was to like focus on POW, and let's see how that went.
Wow.
I think like my goal or like my theme or something was like, let POW be what it could, all that it, or give POW the chance to be all that it can be, something like that. I tried to like make it not like goal like that, like measurable and specific, because I don't like those. But I have shiny objects to say no. But I'm really happy actually about the direction of like moving towards the Queen POW thing, the Queen POW. See there, Queen Ray thing, and Queen Ray was kind of born in April, I think, around the time that I ended up joining you guys as well on this podcast. So I have for like 2022, which is really funny with this podcast, because I have never been slow and steady. And now that I have been on a podcast named Slow and Steady, I've started to see this around in my world and how beneficial it is for me. So my theme for 2022, or theme word, which is not a word, is slow and steady. So I'm just going to keep at it. That's like my thing. I'm just going to keep doing my streams. I'm going to keep like doing my emails. I'm going to just keep on focusing on Gatsby as my core, or my sun and my content system, or whatever we want to, solar system we want to call it. And that engine that we kind of talked about, that is like slowly building up, and not try to maximize in any, I guess that's the opposite, not trying to like grab an opportunity and like go crazy on that one opportunity and then burn myself out on that and then throwing it to the side. But hopefully this means, because I feel like that already, that the kind of Queen Ray engine is kind of moving and it can't really be stopped. Well, it could be stopped, but like it's moving really nicely, and it doesn't cost me as much to do the things as it did like 2 months ago. So even though I've added these live screencasts, like a lot of the content that I've been planning are things that I've demoed and done so many times that I can probably get away with like preparing an hour before the live stream, or that's like my goal, and then just do them. So hopefully that will free up energy then again for POW, but I have to make a decision about POW. So I haven't made the decision if this is gonna be the year that POW can be all it can be, or if I'm just gonna only do Queen Ray stuff. But as I've said, like it fits better. I feel like my life works a lot better now with kind of going as being the tech person instead of being like the hormone person, which I like freaked out about around May, where it's like women's health person, which I think is important, but it's not me. So, but yeah, so my theme, which is not really a goal, but my theme then is just slow and steady and just keep on showing up every day, like I do on my yoga mat, and do it like for Queen Ray. And then hopefully after a while, I can start incorporating POW in there as well. Or like decide something else for POW. I don't know, but I don't want to give it up. It's
it's fine to just keep it around, right? I mean, as long as it's not taking a lot of your energy and time, and it's not like breaking the bank by just with hosting costs or whatever, then I mean just keep it around, right?
Yeah. And I think also it's a good, if I can start like getting into it again with more from the tech perspective, instead of kind of the marketing and trying to like become, you know, the women's health, like hormone content things that I didn't really enjoy. If I start looking at it from the tech perspective again, I think it can give me a lot of input and content for kind of the Queen Ray side. And it's just, then I can look at it as a tech side project instead of kind of the business I'm going to live off of, which I think is the correct place for POW, because I don't think being the privacy first version of it, it's not going to be, it's not the
selling point most people care about, right?
No, so I'm going to give it some years to like be better than I want it to be better than the other apps as well, but still I'm never going to, since I don't, you know, sell the data and stuff like that, like I won't have that same kind of motivation or, you know, funding. I can't get funding in the same way. Could probably. Anyway, let's not. Yes. So my goal, no goal, I guess. No. But yes, slow and steady is my theme. And then I'm doing Plan A, which is a conference I go to every year on Saturday. And there is also some goal setting there. So maybe I can like manage to get a goal out of what I want to do this year. But yeah. But nice. What you said about like not spending time on other things because you're so focused on the goals. When I started doing my review and there was like questions about who influenced you the most and like what were some joyful moments from last year, and definitely some of the streams came to mind, but also a lot of the things I remembered from last year was just like showing up for a friend that had a really hard time, and we ended up walking through Oslo a full day, and it was awful for her, of course, but it's like ended up being such a really awesome day of just like hanging out and doing nothing but talking and like eating and being in the sun. And the same thing, like Ula and I went to this overnight stay in a little cabin by the sea. So I realized that, a lot of my joyful memories from last year are not work related. And this whole slow and steady thing is to remind me to like keep time for that. Because I have also, as Brian, gotten some interesting recruiting proposals now, and I've said yes to some talks, but then over the Christmas holiday, I was like, nope. Benedict did this. Nope. Because I probably could do it, but then that would take away all the time that I would have for those kinds of experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
saying no sometimes is the right thing to do, right? I mean, not every opportunity to come across is a good one to pursue. So yeah, I hear you.
But they sound so fun. They sound so fun. I was like, yes, but then I was like, nope, stay the path, slow and steady. This is like, you got something working here. Don't throw it away. Just yet. Like, give it another like 6 months at least before you're like, you try to say like, to realize that this isn't working or is working. So yeah. But then my secret wish was, I guess it's not secret though, but I think I wrote like
if you tell it, it's not secret anymore.
Secret wish. I think I wrote something about like abundance, like the feelings of abundance of time and abundance of money, but like I'm
That's
not gonna
big one.
sacrifice the other ones for that. I don't know. I had this like I somehow like abundance popped into my mind, like in like sharing experiences with friends and enjoying life.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any more concrete goals? Like, we need Brian for this. Like, I am so...
Yeah, I feel like...
I'm like, I'll just work. This is fine.
I have a couple more goals.
Good.
Well, I mean, it's not really goals. Is it goals? I'm not entirely sure. Thing I wrote down, Dare to Dream Big, is I wish we could all get through the COVID pandemic.
That is a big dream.
Nice. I'm not entirely sure what I can do about that. It's not necessarily a goal I can really achieve, but it would be nice. The other thing I want to do this year, and it sounds stupid, but I want to take a proper vacation this year. And maybe even dare to get on a plane again and go somewhere to the sun at the sea and take 2 weeks off of everything. Because I mean, we took some time off over the last years, and we also did some light traveling within Germany, but I feel like I could use a proper vacation in a hotel somewhere where they cook for you and do everything, so I don't have to do anything. And when I was younger, I always looked at people going to hotels like that and like resorts or whatever, like, what do they know? Like, it's boring. For some reason now these days I could totally relate to the feeling of just like going somewhere, not having to worry about anything, not even what's for dinner the next day or whatever, just turning the brain off for a week or two. So that's one of my goals for this year, and hopefully we can make it work. Yeah, we'll see.
I've had those dreams, really. I think 2 years ago I was looking at these like standby tickets for a resort like that has like childcare. They have like these people dressed in like outfits that like take care of your kid the whole day, and you can just like lay there by the pool, and then everything, as you say, is decided for you, and all of those things. I must say though, even though I still would like to do that, and you should take a proper vacation, I feel though this year, when I've gotten a lot of those like margins we talked about and a lot of other things in place, the kind of the want for that is less than it was. Like, I think it's very much like if you are in that stress and you have too many obligations or like decisions you need to make, like we've talked about before, like being a business owner, like sometimes it's just too much just decision, and you get decision fatigue, and you just want to like veg out for like I think at some point I was like, if I could just like leave everything for like 2 months, that would be awesome. But now I'm like, well, I don't want to do like I want to do my thing. So both take a vacation, but also look at like what can be done in like mini things in everyday life to give you more of that feeling that you're craving.
That's a good point. Like just getting more margins and like more free time, or like less overall stress is probably the thing that would help more than taking a longer vacation somewhere where you don't have to think. So yeah, that's a good point.
But then let's meet at a resort and lay in the sun for a week and only record Slow and Steady. That's what we do. One episode of Slow and Steady. That's not too bad. Oh well, we should probably wrap this up. It's been a long episode.
It's been a long episode, yeah. Yes. We should
somebody's still listening. Thank you. And we appreciate
and let us know what you've planned for this year. Tweet at us or send us an email or whatever. We're excited to hear what you've planned for your 2022. So with that, have a good new year, and talk to you next week.